Hello everyone, it's Michelle Lupton here again for another episode of Case Me a Christmas Card. So today I'm actually going to be showing you how I made one of these two cards, not this one, this one. There's a long story with this. I actually started making a video of the blue card and I mucked up the embossing. And then I started again with the blue card and I used a different embossing powder and I wasn't happy with it. And then the third time I started making the video and my phone stopped recording after 22 seconds. So this is take 4 of this card and I decided to just leave the blue card as is and make a red one instead. Because I'm actually casing today, my guest today is Jenny Colacicco, and the photo that I chose of her card actually has 2 cards in it. So I decided to do 2. So I'm actually using a mini slimline size today. I'm really getting into this mini slimline size. I really enjoy it, especially because the mini slimline size, which this one is, it's 3.5 inches by 6 inches. It'll actually fit into a C6 envelope, which is a standard card size envelope in Australia. So it's a really good alternative size to use. Anyway, let's get on to this card. I started with just a piece of bright red cardstock from my stash. I honestly am not entirely sure which brand it is. And I am using the Hollyberry stamp set from Hero Arts, which is a new one this year, and it's become a firm favourite of mine. And I stamped it in Versamark ink, and I'm now heat embossing it in gold. And honestly, watching gold heat embossing actually melt it's still magic to me. I mean, the first time I ever saw embossing was with a gold embossing powder, and just seeing that transformation of the embossing, it's really special when you see it with gold for some reason. Anyway, so I wanted to get sort of a border on 3 sides of this piece of cardstock, so top, left and bottom, and leave the sort of right hand side in the middle open for my sentiment, which I'll come to a little bit later on. So I'm just using my Misty to make sure I'm getting a good impression with this Versamark ink. And now I'm just going to add the second lot of embossing powder. So this is Hero Arts gold embossing powder that I'm using today. And I also made sure that I used a powder tool on my cardstock before I did the embossing, just to make sure I didn't have any stray bits of embossing powder. All right, so these are the cards that I'm casing. You can see that Jenny used a sort of a teal colour and a sort of dark pink colour, and she's used ink blending around the edges. She's done some embossing. Hers are with these beautiful daisies, and she's added lots and lots of splatter, especially on the green card. She's used 2 different techniques for her sentiments, but I'm just stamping my sentiments onto my cards. So I'm going to be adding some ink blending, and I started with this Candied apple colour, and I gave up pretty quickly because it made no difference whatsoever. But just for clarity, I just thought I'd show it to you, and I looked at it and went, yeah, this isn't actually darkening it up at all. And I don't actually own any darker red Distress Oxide inks. I could have actually tried it with Distress inks. I have a couple of reds that are a little bit darker, but I decided to go with this brown colour and add a little bit of darkness here, and eventually I'll move on to the black soot colour around the edges. Okay, so I'm just concentrating around the corners. Now you can see really clearly here that this Distress Oxide sits on top of the embossing, and it really dulls the gold embossing quite considerably. I'm just making sure I leave a bright spot of red there on the right hand side, but you can see I can rub off that gold embossing, and the embossing actually resists the distress ink, the distress oxide ink, and it will rub away just with a dry cloth. So this has no moisture on it, this cloth. I'm just rubbing it away, and it comes up quite nice and bright again. All right, so I'm choosing a stamp from this Altenew set, which is, I think it's called Many Blessings, or I'm not quite sure, something Blessings. I'll link it in the list below. And I just chose one of the sentiments that seemed to fit the space that I had the best. But I decided I really wanted to add the splatter before I stamped my sentiment, because I didn't want any of the sentiment to run when I added some water. So I've pulled up my Gansai Tambi Starry colours. And apologies to anybody who actually speaks Japanese. I've been told that my pronunciation of Gansai Tambi is so ochre it's not funny. Very, very Aussie pronunciation. I apologise. Anyway, so I used the sort of yellowy gold, and then I decided to use this white gold as well, just to add some white splatter as well. And these work really, really well. But I wanted some more shine. So I have this bottle here, this spray bottle of Picket Fence Studios Paper Glitz Sparkle that's mixed with water. And I don't actually spray with it. I just use it to sort of flick a few little bits on it. And it just gives just this pop of shine that is, I haven't been able to get that amount of shine from any other product. It's just amazing. So I'm just using my heat tool now to just dry off those splatters, and I'm going to move on to the sentiment. So I'm stamping the sentiment. Here it is again. I'm stamping it in some Altenew Obsidian ink. This is a pigment ink, so it'll sit quite nicely over the top of the ink blending that I've done, and also on top of that splatter that I've done as well. So I'm just going to adhere this straight to a card base. So this is a very, very unusual card for me, because there is absolutely no white space at all. At all. That's just crazy for me. Anyway, I decided I needed a little bit more shine, so I've added a few gems from this Picket Fence Studios gem mix. I specifically chose the gold looking gems. This particular mix is called Sands of Time, and it has a mixture of clear gems, slightly yellow gems, and more deep yellow gems, and I went for the deeper ones. They come in a variety of different sizes. So there's a mixture of sizes in this set, so I used a mixture of sizes, and that's my card done for today. So I'm just going to show you the other card that I made, the blue one as well, but you can see the shine from the splatter and those gemstones as well. Here's the blue one with the snowflakes. I used lots of snowflakes from Simon Says Stamp for that one. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again here next time. Bye.